Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And so, my mental health tip for the day is, let's see, we did anxiety. Oh yeah, depression. Okay, so if you're feeling sad, if you're having random dry spell or crying spells, and then you feel like you really don't have any hope, you should probably get checked out because you clearly have depression. You feel down, you feel sad, you feel... Now, this kind of happens, like, if you have a really, if something really bad happens in life, you'll go through either the stage of grief, and then what happens through that stage is you might have a spell of depression. There's a whole bunch of different ways to be depressed. Me personally, I've had major depressive disorder at one point, so that means you depressed for a pretty dang long time, and then you have to climb yourself out of it. This is why in the military, whenever you come out of it, or whenever you separate from the armed forces, you usually have some form of mental illness, and that's why it is very advisable that you get checked out. So, that's my little thing. If you are depressed right now, please get checked out. That, or look into trying to see if you can recover or find the good things. It's very hard to find the good things, but it's also very bad to be depressed. So, just keeping that out there. Depression is a thing, it is real, and it really, really sucks. And hopefully none of you are depressed right now. Yeah, hopefully not. But if you are, it's okay, and if you are, go seek help. Anyways, this is my Master Premier Classic video on my #1 team. The team I told you I was using and practicing on pvpoke.com actually shot its way to the stars. It reached the heaven. It went to the stairway to heaven, and it reached to the very top, to the moon, like Dogecoin. I just used a Bitcoin reference and a musical reference at the same time. But as you see, Dragonite, Excadrill, and Metagross shot its way up to a ridiculous 584 rating. I was not expecting this at all. So, with that being said, I did a few battles with this team and featured it in this Shoutcast I'm about to show you, featuring the most powerful team statistically in Master Premier Classic. However, I did find that in a lot of live practice, a lot of people are trying to counter the unholy hell out of this team. So, beware, because even though it is good, it's really rough to play out of if you hard lose a lead against something like Togekiss. It is a very powerful team. It is very, very good, and like I mentioned before, across the board, if you saw my previous videos, I already analyzed this team, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Excadrill, Metagross is your back row. Metagross is your safe switch. So Metagross, you'll switch into Metagross, try to break as many shields as you can, and then farm down with Dragonite and Excadrill and try to come out with the dub. As you see here, amazing stats across the board. Just not a lot of bulk, just because Excadrill doesn't have a ton of bulk, but Dragonite and Metagross do make up for that. Very powerful against the overall meta. You can force your way through 2 shields and with Dragonite through things like Metagross and Excadrill. However, Charmers and things like Mamoswine are very strong against you, so you're going to have to play out of a lot of matchups. If you lose the lead, Safe Switch and Metagross, try to make some magic happen because it's really, really rough. Dragon Tail Garchomp is also a very rough matchup. If you do get a Garchomp and you do fight one, make sure, if they don't switch out of the matchup, make sure you let them fire first and you get a Dragon Tail through, because that's how you win the matchup. Garchomp is very powerful against this team, so again, that's how you do it. Try to wipe it out with Dragonite as much as possible. There's also a lot of things you have to do. You're going to see in Master Premier Classic just how chaotic it is and just how much you have to dance around and just have expert energy and fast move management, because it's really annoying. It's a very, 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 very merciless meta. Very low threat score, 573. Well, not very low. The lowest I've seen is like 490. So then it's on like the mid-high side. But it's a very powerful team. And statistically, it shot its way up to the moon. So without further ado, let's get started with the Shoutcast. So here's the example of the Togekiss matchup I told you about. It's really rough because you have to safe switch immediately, but I'm going to show you exactly why it's really difficult. Okay, so you see I safe switch right away, and then we get a Gyarados. This is what usually happens in this scenario. You lose the lead, you safe switch into Metagross, but then you have a Gyarados or something like an Excadrill that gets thrown into you. At this point, it's really rough to come back from. As you see here, your opponent might try to, if they try to farm you down, you might be able to come out of shield advantage, but There are certain ways some opponents might play this, but generally it's really rough for you. What I like to do is try to take it to the ones, but it's still a really rough matchup because you're gonna have to somehow find a way to get to Hurricane with Dragonite. So it's a very, very difficult matchup. I'm not gonna lie. You know, Chinese New Year is a great New Year, and when it's the year of the dragon and the year of the, well, yeah, because, you know, I don't know why Gyarados isn't a dragon type until it turns Mega. I mean, I get it, you know, when you go Super Saiyan, like, you know, you go up a grade, but, like, I guess that's what it is. But Gyarados, for some odd reason, is, well, I can see why it's a flying type, but I don't see how it can fly. As you see, this one's floating. You know, it's Pokemon Go logic, man. Niantic be like, you know what? As long as Pokemon thinks, or as long as Pokemon approves of the art and sprites, everything is fine. That's why when you look at it, they always release things ahead of time, and it's just really rough. As you see here, I'm going to try to farm down. You want to get as much energy as you can for that Hurricane, because Hurricane is literally the only way you're going to, probably the only way you can come out with a win con. As you see, I'm going for the Hurricane. This is a good example of how Dragonite can clutch out Hurricanes, but it's still a very, very rough matchup. What I could have done here was try to take it to the zeros and then use Hurricane, but I just wanted to try to see if I could get it through shields, and unfortunately they shield. We get a Dragonite in the back, but even though we do have a shield, it's pretty much GG's just because of the fact that they have a whole Togekiss still. Like, Togekiss is still really dang healthy, and then Dragonite is going to be able to chip away at Excadrill because Excadrill isn't the bulkiest thing in the world. There's ways I could have won if the Hurricane went through shields, or if I switched out, broke shields, took it to the zeros, and then Hurricaned, I might have been able to do it. But then something might have happened to where Togekiss stays in, and then Togekiss Togekiss gets Ancient Power, and it KOs us anyways. So your basic win con in order to beat Togekiss leads is to try to land a Hurricane on a Togekiss. As you see, we'll get taken out here, but because we're just so hurt right now that it's pretty much GG's. What I could have done here to win this matchup or get it was switch to Excadrill right away, take it to the zeros, and try to set up the Hurricane for the closer. That's one of the ways I could have won, because as you see, I'm going to die with a shield. So, again, that's the other ways I could have played it, but it's really rough. I don't beat myself over things like this because, as you see, it's just a really rough matchup. But, again, if you get your win con there is to get the Hurricane on Togekiss. That's your win con. Set it up, get the Hurricane, and that's GG's. This one we win the lead, though. For our second match, we have Dragonite versus Haxorus. This is a winning lead for us. As you see, they throw Snorlax into us. So I like staying in here. It sounds like a really bad idea, but you have a dominant matchup versus Snorlax and a 2-shield. You can switch out to Excadrill. The concerning thing is if you eat a superpower, it really sucks. So what I usually do is I'll chip away. I'll do a little bit of chip damage to set up one drill run. So even if I do eat a superpower here, I'll be okay because I should be able to chip away at this Snorlax. Unless Snorlax decides to not shield here. So get Snorlax thrown into you, hit the Dragon Claw, and as you see, Snorlax will be very, very weak. You can eat the first superpower and then farm down. It's really up to you. As long as you have some health on your Dragonite, that way what you can do with Dragonite is that you can take it and put it on that Haxorus, and then you could take it out. It's advisable you shield the first superpower, just so that you could take it out, but, like, I'm not going to shield here. It's perfectly fine. I want extra farm, but I recommend, if you want to play that the other way around, you can shield the superpower, then farm down. And we get a Metagross, which is alright. So the reason why it's okay is because Dragonite in the 2-shield, especially with the new Dragon Tail buff, it doesn't have a bad matchup against, like, Steel-type leads. You'll see that later against a losing lead or Steel-type leads. As you see here, we are just going to literally beat the... We're going to use Barney's giant... I don't know how much it tails weighs, but, like, if you watch Pokemon the first movie, yo, Dragonite is fast. It's mad fast. And that's, like, if you... Like, Dragonite is mean. Like, if you've seen Iris's Dragonite, that thing just, like... It hurls an aircraft carrier and blows up half of the freaking plane. Dragonite is a boss. And I would hate to have a pissed off Dragonite. So, as you see here, just force your way through the 2-shield. It's totally possible, especially if you get those extra Dragon Tails through charge moves. We're just going to keep Dragon Clawing, so we're going to claw your eyes out. Well, I don't think you can claw Metagross's eyes out. It could probably hurt a lot because, you know, it's the defense is hard. Its defense is incredible. The defense is if you're a football fan, it's that Bucks defense, and that's what won them against the Kansas. That's what got Brady a 7th ring. But enough about that. I know some of y'all hate Tom Brady, so I understand. Deflategate is a very, very controversial issue. I really get it. Anyways, as you see here, this is why we're just gonna force our way through. As long as you have a little bit of health on Dragonite, as you see here, you're gonna beat the unholy crap out of Haxorus. So this is pretty much GG's. What we're going to do here is we can send in Metagross. Metagross can get to a Meteor Mash, and then we're just going to farm down with Bullet Punches. So we're just going to fast move down. So as you see here, I'm just frantically tapping just because I don't want this thing to get to 2 Night Slashes. If it does boost, it's going to suck a lot. But it should be okay. As you see, Night Slash will go through. Still does a big chunk of damage. And all we're going to do is farm down here, and then we're going to hit the Meteor Mash in the back for the dub. GG's, again, if they throw a Steel type into you, throw Excadrill into it, or if they throw a Snorlax, you can do it like this. I like doing it this way just because it's pretty safe. Unless you get a Togekiss in the back, then it's a really bad idea. But as you see, it's GG's. You could choose to throw Excadrill into Snorlax. Just be sure you shield that superpower. It's going to really suck. Here's another example of winning lead. Usually you'll win lead against Garchomp. If it's a Dragon Tail one, as you see here, don't throw your move. Let them throw first. You want to get that extra one through or force them to switch out like this. So they switched out into their Excadrill. What you're going to do is you build up to the Hurricane and stay in. You want them to think you have a Draco Meteor. So just stay in, blow your energy, throw those Dragon Claws, and then because what happens here is that it's still really rough for you. Because Excadrill is basically going to tear through your backline, especially with Energy Lead. I don't have a perfect Excadrill, so I will lose against a lot of other Excadrills. If you have a perfect one, you can try to force the mirror, get those extra mud shots through, and come out with the W. But unfortunately, I don't have that capability because, you know, King of Charmanders didn't grind that hard when Excadrill wasn't around. And none of my friends told me when there was perfect Drillburs around. So, yeah. It's a hard enough life. I know, right? So we're just going to Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw, Dragon Claw, Dragon Claw, Dragon Claw. And we're going to chip away at these shields. Ultimately, what I want to happen is that either we win this because my opponent doesn't throw their energy, or we're able to farm down their Excadrill and have energy to close out. He's likely going to get to another move, as you see here, but I just switch out and I catch the Rock Slide. So I get really ballsy here. You can do this, very risky, but as you see, without counting, I catch the Rock Slide. And I should be able to farm down unless they switch out, and they do. So unless they have Earth Power, which they might have, then this is essentially just me sacrificing my Excadrill, but I'm just getting really fancy at this point. So Earth Power does go through. This will KO our Excadrill, but we'll be able to send in our Dragonite and get some farm. I fire the Dragon Tail right away to KO Garchomp, but what happens here is that their Excadrill is so hurt, it's essentially going to die to like Bullet Punches or Dragon Tails, whichever you choose. And they have a Gyarados with Waterfall. Okay, this is great for us because I'm glad I preserved part of my Dragonite. Because what we're going to do is we Dragon Claw here, we get the Meteor Mash in, and then we should be able to Bullet Punch down. At least that's my win condition. At least, yeah. It's still a very rough matchup. The good thing about Waterfall is that Waterfall's slow, so it only generates 8 energy a shot. So they'll only be able to get to, at most, if you don't let them get extra ones through, 1 Crunch and 1 Aqua Tail. So you should be alright, unless we get debuffed. Then that would really suck. Remember what I mentioned, unless we get debuffed. So I'm just going to fire right away here. I am actually not going to try to farm down, just because I already know I can Bullet Punch down that Drillbur because it has no energy. This is the safer play. If by some reason you lag in this scenario, I would have lost, and that's GG's. Really fancy matchup, but generally this is how you play it out if you do get an Excadrill thrown into you. Stay in with Dragonite, pop its shields, do as much damage, farm down with Excadrill, or do what I did there. We get Dragonite into Gyarados. If it's Waterfall, we win lead and they should switch right away. Then you send in the Metagross. As you see here, send in Metagross. So there's 2 ways you can play out this matchup. You can farm it down, give up a shield and farm it down, and have come out with 100 energy. Or what you can do is wait till it gets to 9 charms, because charm is really slow. It doesn't generate a lot of energy. 9 charms will enable you to get to a Meteor Mash and some change. For me, this is a safer play, but it also is kind of rough because it allows them to throw something into your Metagross and gather energy. But if it's a Gyarados, usually what they have in the back is a Sylveon. Usually it's a Gyarados double charm team. I don't know who created it. I might have a hunch who. Tell me in the comments if you know, because I'm like, bro, freaking charm, man. Freaking I have nothing against you if you use it. Just me personally, I never will use a charm or a tap team in my entire life to climb to legend. Ever. If you're trying to go through your sets really quickly, I approve. If you're trying to, if you like Charm 2 Shield Stress, like I said, nothing wrong with it. Now, this is why I like going to 100, because as you see here, even if they throw a Gyarados into you, you should be able to get to a move. We're going to send in Dragonite, but here's the issue. Shield. Because usually what happens is that they have Outrage, and they baited me. So this one really sucks, because I know what's coming next, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna, yep, this is an Outrage. I probably should have fired my Aqua Tail. Not gonna shield this. It's a really dumb move because this is an Outrage. I already know. I already know Shenron is about to freaking come out for the Dragon Balls and then just shower me with a bunch of love. But despite that, you still live. And as you see, the Sylveon comes out. And this is absolutely terrible because I'm gonna switch out to my Excadrill and then we're in the one shield with some chip damage. Which is okay, but like the smarter play I would have done there was just fire the Dragon Claw, force the last shield, or take out that Gyarados. Because now the Gyarados is out, and we're in a rough matchup. So, as you see, all I'm going to do is try to not let any charms through. Do the best you can, because with the way fast moves are so broken right now, there's not really a way you can depend on, like, timing your moves. It really sucks. But we will get to 2 drill runs here, and then I should be able to take out this Sylveon after we get one more, because they're going to get to a move. As you see here, they're going to get to one, shield it anyways. Yes, it's a Psy Shock, but we don't want to get charmed down. But we should be able to have... We have enough on both of our Pokemon to where I should be able to take out that Gyarados. So we get the drill run off, and then I should be able to just fast move down for the dub. The safer play here, like I mentioned, would have been to just fire the Dragon Claw and take out that Gyarados. Then Excadrill versus Sylveon wins the ones. As you see here, we're able to get those 2 mud shots in, and that's GG's. But this team basically auto-wins against the double charm team. Next up, we have a fellow legend. Here's another observation of this Gyarados double charm team. Now, the reason I'm showing to you this is because I play this one smarter. So I'm going to show you what I did really dumb, and I'm going to show you what I do to win. So as you see here, we get a Magnezone thrown into us. And this is great because Excadrill is amazing against Magnezone. You can literally shield nothing. So just don't shield anything if you get Magnezone, because you resist everything. And even if they wild charge you, you basically are able to farm them down. Just hope the Mirror Shop doesn't debuff you. As you see here, I'm just gathering up to 100, and then I'm going to let my Excadrill go. If you get debuffed, it's okay, but it's a little rough with whatever comes into the back, because you're not going to do a full damage just because you're debuffed, of course. I try to undercharge here. Literally, like, this is real. Like, I'm just going to undercharge. I'll fire one, but I'm going to undercharge, and I'm going to see if I can get something. And sure enough, the undercharge doesn't work. Because it's double, because Magnezone's double weak to a drill run, to ground type. So I think I have that worked out once, but I only got like 1 mud shot of energy back. So you could choose to do that or overcharge. It's up to you. We should be able to get to 2 rock slides though. So we do get to 2 rock slides, and then I should be able to deal damage here. We got a shield, which is great. I should be able to deal damage this time around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send in Dragonite. They send in their Garchomp, which was a really bad idea, but it's okay. So we got Garchomp, we got Gyarados, and then we had a Magnezone. So it's again, if you win the lead and they throw a Magnezone, or if they throw a Metagross into you, just send in your Excadrill. If it is a Metagross, be careful and wary of that Earthquake. I'm going to send in Metagross at this point. I should be able to get to a Meteor Mash, and I still have 2 shields, so it really doesn't matter. That Gyarados is so hurt that all I have to do is Dragon Tail or Bullet Punch down. So we're vibing here. So just shield everything. We have a healthy Dragonite, and then this is GG's. But like I mentioned, you see the steel. This is usually what happens. They'll throw the steel type into you as your safe switch. Of course, just throw Excadrill into it. And then you can essentially sack either Metagross or Excadrill. It's really up to you. But as you see here, convincing win, and that's GG's. Usually, this is what happens when you get Dragon Lead, stay in. If it is Dragon Tail Garchomp, though, let them fire first. And then, because usually what will happen is that they'll try to switch out after they get energy, and then they throw something into you. just like the previous match I showed you. Here's a losing lead. If you lose lead as an Excadrill or Metagross for steel types, you stay in and just bully your way through. You're like, why King of Charmanders? That seems so sacrificial. Well, here's the thing. Your back row is really weak against steel anyways, and they're going to have energy lead. So, we're going to have to sacrifice Barty. I know you guys love it so much. If it's your childhood like me and you listen to I Love You like 50,000 times, no, literally, I freaking hate it, then this is what's going to happen. However, as you see here, our opponent switches into Gyarados, so just stay in. My opponent knows you win the 2 shield, or you can have a lot of play against Excadrill, so they like to just switch out anyways. I throw an Excadrill. Excadrill does resist these Dragon Breaths, so we're going to throw it in. You can also throw Metagross in here, but I advise you to use Excadrill just because it's able to fire Rock Slides a lot faster than Metagross would get to Meteor Mash, and it's not resisted. You can eat an Aqua Tail just fine, like you see here, but then just be careful. So as you see, Aqua Tail goes off. It's not going to OKO, and we're going to try to break this last shield or win back switch. And then what's going to happen, though, is that they send in their Excadrill, and we're pretty screwed. So they get to another move, which is fine, because I switched a little slower, so it's okay. But they would have won CMP. No, we win CMP because we're so bulky. But as you see here, I'm going to farm down. So as you see, I'm going to farm down, get a bajillion energy, and they switch into their Excadrill, which I find really odd. They're going to get this drill run off. I will shield this, but what we're going to do here is we should be able to force out, fake the Earthquake, as you see here. I'm going to try to fake out the Earthquake. If you get Excadrill on Metagross, try to bait a shield as much as you can because it's already a rough matchup. You could try to go for the Earthquake. It's really up to you. If it's in like a closing scenario and it's like they have to shield and you don't shield, then it's what it is. As you see here, I am able to send in my Dragonite and get that Dragon Tail off. And this should be it's really rough. You know what I mean? If you get the Steel type lead, you gotta be a little fancy. So they should be able to get to a Rock Slide, but Rock Slide doesn't KO Dragonite at this range. So this is what happens. If you get Metagross or Excadrill, you try to pull a Hail Mary like this. And what happens is that we should be able to farm it down, and then we can get to a Dragon Claw. We get to a Dragon Claw, we're going to fire it immediately because we're likely going to lose against whatever's in the back. And it is another Dragonite. So this is really rough. But the good thing is what happens, we took out the Excadrill, as you see there. Because the Excadrill is gone, then we don't really have to worry about getting drill run to death. We're going to send in Metagross. Metagross should be able to get to that Meteor Mash. We will eat a Dragon Claw or something of that sort if they don't fire their move. Well, they don't fire their move, which is unfortunate for our opponent. They try to get to, I'm guessing they try to get to a Hurricane or a Meteor Mash, but even then it would have been rough just because even if they Dragon Claw here, we still have enough HP to take out this Gyarados because Gyarados likely doesn't have a crunch. As you see here, it's an Aqua Tail and bam. All we have to do is Bullet Punch. Even if they did have a move, we would have won. Even if they Dragon Clawed, we would have won just because we still had HP. This is how you beat out Steel Leads. You have to be a little fancy and you have to be a little fast, but you have to force your way through Dragonite because your back row is usually weak to whatever they threw into you. Next up, we have another Dragonite versus Gyarados matchup. Now, this is where I want to show you that if you win the lead versus a Waterfall Dragonite and they do the Togekiss thing on you, this is where it kind of sucks. So this is a mistake on my part. So I'm going to show you a mistake. We're going to do the same play as we did before. Wait till you get to 9 charms, and then you can fire your Meteor Mash. After that, they should not shield. They're just going to give up Togekiss outright. And then you should see either the Gyarados come in or whatever they have in their back row. It's likely going to be the Gyarados because they have a Sylveon in the back. Well, that's usually what happens. You might have an opponent that has something else, but you know, that's Go Battle League. It's blind. You never know what you're going to get. It's like it's like playing the lottery. It's like playing the lottery or a scratch card. You know, you never know what you're going to get, and that's the nature of Go Battle League. You got to be a fancy. You can use player skill and just outright knowledge to circumvent that, but it's just, you know, it's still really rough. As you see here, our opponent is going to farm me down because they want all that energy to throw at our poor Dragonite, which we're going to throw into them. So Meteor Mash will go off. We're going to get the Meteor Mash off. I think they should have shielded in this point. I send in the Dragonite, and then I try to catch an Aqua Tail, but yeah, you're going to see that was a mistake. That was a mistake. They fire the Outrage. That was incredibly impressive. That was impressive. I can't lie. So I'm like, all right, we got the 2 shield, and we got a Metagross and my Excadrill. We still beat we still beat this Sylveon in the 2s pretty convincingly, but my issue is that I don't know how... Well, you blew all your energy on your Gyarados, but the thing is, they can switch in earlier than me, so it's gonna be a little rough. If you sense... It would have been smarter for me to just fire my Outrage, so that was really a misplay on my part, because it would have been smarter to just shield the Outrage, and then I can send Excadrill in. But this is okay, because as you see here in the 2 shield, we beat out this Sylveon anyways. I'm going to go to 100 though. If you are stuck in this scenario, get to gather as much energy as you can, just so that if they threw Gyarados in, you could take it out with a Rock Slide, or even at a Drill Run if they're at low range. So as you see here, we're just going to double up. This should take out... Well, this isn't going to take out the Sylveon, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch in Metagross, and then we should be able to farm down. And then after that, what happens is that we are going to... As you see, this is going to be really rough. I send in Metagross. Metagross farms it down. And then we farm down the Gyarados. And then what happens is that we are going to take out the Sylveon possibly. If not, it's okay, because now we have queued energy for our Rock Slide. And we win CMP. Very fancy. As you see, if you 1 HP in a dream, be careful of eating out Outrage, because if they do, your opponent has a win condition. So we were able to be really fancy. This was really advanced, so I hope you guys enjoyed the battle, and I still had a shield. But yeah, make sure y'all shield that Outrage. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you aren't used to playing Master Premier Classic, or if you don't have a lot of practice, I heavily recommend you just go to Kanto Cup. As you see here, even though this is statistically the most powerful team, and I did call it, it's still incredibly rough to play out of a lot of matchups. And it's also very, very merciless, just because Master Premier Classic, it's balanced just because you see, it's, well, yeah, it's not balanced in the sense that you have to have level 40 freaking Pokemon. If you just started playing Pokemon Go PvP, you aren't able to compete in this cup, which I really hate. I wish rental teams was out, but that's a topic for another time, because Pokemon Go PvP is in desperate need of improvement, because we've been literally playing the same old dang thing for the past almost 2 years. So yeah, or 3 years if you've been playing PvP since the beginning, and nothing's literally changed. Just aesthetics and just visual, the HUD, nothing really like super improved. We still don't have held items, and we still don't have abilities. But again, that's a topic for another time. Again, if you haven't played Master League Premier Classic, I would really recommend you just play Kanto, because it's a very chaotic meta. Yes, you can use player skill to circumvent a lot of issues in this meta, or losing leads. But if you do lose the lead against something like Togekiss, or if you win the lead in general, you can play out of it, but it's still a really, really rough scenario. As you see here, it's really, as you see here for my Shoutcast, it was really, really rough. Hopefully you guys are doing well though. Statistically, it feels really good to create another #1 team. The last time I created a #1 team on pvpoke.com was back in Season 4, and that was my Shadow Shiftery, Deoxys Defense, and Stunfisk team. Getting to #1 is obscenely hard, just because there are so many other great trainers out there making great lines and practicing with them. So I'm really happy that mine made it through, because it didn't have so high of a practice percentage. Other people were using it in practice. If you were my viewer and you're doing it on pvpoke.com, I appreciate you. I also broke it in pretty heavily just to practice and see how the team would play out, and I never expected it to become #1. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this helps you out if you want to play Master Premier Classic. But I honestly just do the best league you can. If you can't compete, or if it's a new cup, again, just do Kanto Cup. If you would do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe. It's totally free. You can easily subscribe by putting your mouse on that little box over there that says subscribe. Sub tab will pop up. You can easily sub. I really appreciate my current subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. And thanks to you, we're almost at 3K. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets. And I will see you guys on the next video.